Ladies and gentlemen, it's Hot Legs, straight from the Wine Exchange, with wine expert Kyle Meyer.
Welcome to Hot Legs. Burgundy. Now, we discussed red Burgundy earlier in a previous episode of Hot Legs, and we talked about how there's some really good values to be found, particularly in the 2005 red Burgundies. Well, I was thinking about it and thought, hey, there's some really good values to be found in the whites as well. And people don't talk about white Burgundy as much, at least not here in Southern Cal. We got so much Chardonnay coming down the pike from the Napa Valley and the Central Coast just a few hours away. So I thought today we'd take a look at some Chardonnays from the Burgundy region of France that can rival the top examples from California and anywhere else in the world at a very reasonable price. Now, one of the ways they can do this is that both of these wines are labeled with the very basic moniker of Bourgogne. Now, Bourgogne in Burgundy is kind of like the catch-all appellation. Something that's not good enough to be considered a village level wine or premier cru or grand cru kind of gets bumped down to the Bourgogne level. So in fact, for a lot of producers, it's either the leftovers or it's the vineyard that's kind of next to the road, the Route Nationale, what we call a freeway Bourgogne. It's the cars are whizzing by the vineyards and gas and fuel. But in this case, we found two very special Bourgognes today from two of the top producers in Burgundy, and these wines rival wines that are easily twice the cost. So without further ado, let's get cranking. We're going to start with Raymond Dupont-Fon's Bourgogne Chaume de Perrières. Fabulous story behind this wine, and I've been just itching to tell it. So here we go. Now, Raymond inherited the domain from his father Michel, and Michel, I think, started back in the 70s with this domain, and he made a few reasonable purchases. Before that, Michel's grandfather had purchased some vineyard as well. Let's go back to his grandfather, actually, because his grandfather purchased a piece of dirt that is going to be the main point of discussion behind this wine. Now, on the label, you see the word Perrières. Now, this is related to an actually very famous Meursault vineyard called Perrières, which is in fact one of the top Premier Cru white Burgundy vineyards. Now, Raymond's grandfather purchased in 1975 a parcel of dirt, essentially, that was right next to Perrières. It had a different name at the time. It was known as, I believe, Dos de l'An, if memory serves. And what happened is he purchased the dirt and then got to the vineyards, or not the vineyard, it was dirt, right? Started looking around. He's kind of like, I need more dirt here. I don't have enough dirt. So he went and petitioned and asked around. He asked the Burgundy Council if he could get more dirt. And the Burgundy Council said, yes, you can get more dirt. So he went and brought in another 20 centimeters of topsoil and put it in this vineyard part that he planted, or that he was going to plant. Well, Burgundy's political. What happened is the rest of the crew in Meursault got a little PO'd at this. They were like, how can this cat come in, bring dirt, and plant vineyard here? This is not right. And they fought and they fought and they fought. And eventually what happened is poor Monsieur Dupont-Fond, his lovely, what was going to be his lovely Meursault vineyard, where he was going to sell the wines for $50, $60, $70, $80, $100 a bottle, ended up turning into just Bourgogne, because the council decided that the dirt he brought in wasn't from that same area. It wasn't Premier Cru dirt, if you will. So in fact, because this cat brought in dirt that wasn't the right dirt, he got really screwed. But only he got screwed. In the end, we win, because this is a hell of a wine. So what we have here is we have 100% Chardonnay next to one of the finest Premier Cru vineyards in all of Burgundy. The grandfather planted the vineyard in 1975, so the vineyard is north of 30 years old now. And man, if this isn't Premier Cru to me, I don't know what is. We get tickled pink every year the new vintage of this wine shows up. You get the fabulous Meursault tones, the honey and the little stones, a touch of florality, just complex, loads of flavor here. Bright, fresh, almost like sweet rocks, like honey-coated stones. It's unbelievable. And 2006 is a pretty sharp vintage for white Burgundy. What a deal. I mean, this wine has a level of complexity and flavor interest of, like I said earlier, easily wines that cost twice the price. And all because poor Monsieur Dupont-Fond bought in the wrong dirt. Crazy, huh? That's Burgundy for you, in a nutshell. This wine on the shelf is south of $30, which may seem expensive for a Bourgogne. A lot of the, quote, Bourgogne wines tend to run in that low 20 price range. But at 27 on our shelf, probably 30 on most shelves, certifiable steal here. Me likey. All right, moving to another Bourgogne. Now we're taking a little bit of a turn here. This one's once again very special, but for different reasons than the previous wine. First thing you might notice is the vintage. This is the 2003 Loire Bourgogne. Now, anyone familiar with Burgundy wines knows the name Loire. It is arguably, outside maybe Romanée-Conti, the most famous label in Burgundy wines. LEGS Loire has been in charge for years now. And she runs the négoce operation as well as her domain. Now, the domain bottled wines from Loire can fetch easily up to $1,000 a bottle, even more, say in a vintage like 2005. But LEGS runs her négoce operation in the same meticulous fashion that she runs the domain, which means she purchases sometimes juice, usually juice, sometimes vineyard grapes from top-notch producers from domains in their own right, and then oversees the élevage, or the aging of the wine, in her own cellars. And then she only releases the wine when she thinks it's ready. So basically, LEGS has this treasure trove of literally millions of bottles of some of the world's greatest Burgundy sitting down in her cellars. And it's a treat for us because we get these beautifully aged, perfectly conditioned wines at a very reasonable price. Now, that being said, this is the 2003 vintage Loire Bourgogne. This is her little wine, her entry level, just the everyday whatever wine, you know, house wine, coffin wine. And when LEGS has friends over that she probably doesn't really like, she probably gives them this wine, you know, and saves the $1,000 stuff for the good people. But, you know, I would be LEGS' enemy if she gave me this wine every day. It is phenomenal. Talk a little bit about the vintage. 2003 was actually a very hot vintage, a torridly hot vintage. And the problem with a lot of the wines is the terroir, the character of the wine was baked out of them because the vineyards were so hot and parched. And the wines got kind of like these raisiny, baked, kind of cooked flavors. Not LEGS. The wines have tremendous crispness, tremendous freshness. The wine sings. In fact, the matter is, in a vintage like 03, what's going to happen? Some of the grapes might not come in as she would like them or the producers would like them. So ergo, they do a lot of declassifying. So what we probably see in this wine is probably grapes and vineyards that would normally go into wines costing 2 to 3 times as much because of the stigma of the vintage. That being said, LEGS seemed a little bulletproof to the hazards of 2003, and in fact turned in a killer performance. Now, as opposed to the Marceau type flavors, more of that honey and little stone and delicacy, here we have like a real pungency, a nice like grilled toasty character coming through, a wonderful ripe lemon, like a Meyer lemony character finding its way into the wine. Smells like Chassagne-Montrachet, which is a very famous village in Burgundy that commands hefty prices. This is a dead ringer for a wine from that village. Man, if you told me this wine was $30, I'd eat my shoe. I mean, seriously good here. I mean, this is not joke around stuff. This is top class white Burgundy for a song. That being said, like I said, it's expensive for Bourgogne, right? Because people are expecting to pay $20 for an entry-level Burgundy. These are not entry-level Burgundies. And in fact, because they say Bourgogne on them, they're very underpriced and represent a couple of the finest values in white Burgundy today. Cheers.